Jay-Z started S. Carter Records. Where is it?
I haven't heard of it.
Jay-Z started Carter Faculty Records. Where is it?
Got you.
Jay-Z started Rock La Familia Records. Where is it?
Right.
That's not a successful CEO. This is just on his, because he got Beyonce and they think he got $1 billion. Jay has not proven to be a successful CEO. Right. I worked at Rockefeller. Jay-Z did not do for nobody but Jay-Z.
Choke No Joke reveals some information that was news to me about Jay-Z, Biggie, and Puffy. Let's get into it. This is Fresh Hip Hop Opinion with your guy Alize. Don't forget to subscribe. So yeah, Choke No Joke, people. Most of us kind of know him from being affiliated with Rockefeller Records. But he's basically a legendary videographer, producer, and director in hip hop culture. And in recent times, he's been talking about some legendary figures and legendary topics. And like I said in the intro, stuff I never heard before. In one interview he's been speaking about Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Now obviously we know about the Rockefeller split. Dame, Jay, and Biggs all owned a third of Rockefeller. Now I ain't gonna get into the whole business aspect, I don't fully understand it all. But they had a split, but then Jay-Z ended up being like the executive at Def Jam. And Dame just basically felt like Jay did him dirty. But what Choke No Joke was speaking about was he basically dissing Jay-Z. Or you can call it home truths about Jay-Z. Saying he wasn't ever a successful executive ever. He was a great artist. He made great songs, great albums, a lyricist. He was a talent. But as an executive, he was saying what did he really do as an executive that was impressive. He went and mentioned that he had the S. Carter Records that didn't do anything. He had Carter Faculties. I never heard of that one. Maybe that's why. And then he had Rock La Familia. I think that was one with Rihanna on it. I'm not too sure. I remember that one being mentioned. But yeah, I can't remember any big artists coming out of those labels or situations and blowing up. But obviously he does have Tidal, which is not a record label, but it's a successful streaming platform. But as an executive, it's right. I remember when Jay-Z was in charge of like the albums on Def Jam, and he bumped heads with like DMX and LL Cool J, maybe because they were peers and they felt uncomfortable with him being above them. And all their albums kind of tanked under Jay-Z. Let's keep it real. But he also went into how Dame was blackballed from the music industry based on Jay-Z putting out that word. Because obviously Dame and Jay fell out. A lot of record labels didn't want to hire Dame, which is kind of crazy because if you think of Rockefeller, Jay-Z was the artist. People didn't really think of him as a businessman back in the 90s and the early 2000s. It was Dame and Biggs that were the businessmen. So if you were going to give an executive job to either one of them, you would imagine it would be Dame. As much as Dame doesn't have a great reputation of people skills, the way he talks to people, he was way more experienced than Jay-Z. But obviously Jay was Jay-Z. He was a very popular, iconic figure. And basically Choke was also going into how Jay-Z is basically the reason why Dame is in such a bad situation financially. I mean, he's not in a bad situation financially compared to the average person on the street, but as a celebrity wise, he is. He doesn't really move around with cash in his account. He even admits when he gets money, he puts it all into businesses. He puts it in investments and such and such. And just to prove that he hasn't got much money, that's why he's trying to sell his third of Rockefeller, because he ain't got the money. You know, and he just went into how Jay-Z is very selfish. He was responsible for destroying Rockefeller because if he didn't do what he did, Rockefeller still had some decent artists. If you remember back then, he had the whole Philly side with Beanie Siegel, State Property, Memphis Bleak was there, Kanye was there, Cam was there. You know, they had a lot of people that were associated and under Rockefeller Records, and they would have signed more people, no question. But obviously Jay-Z had a bigger picture in his mind. He wanted to get into that corporate world, do business with the big corporations out there, where Dame Dash was more staying independent, getting your money, flipping it, and never having to work for anyone. So right there you can see there's a big difference in philosophies and how they want to conduct themselves in business.